What's up, YouTube? Coming at you today with an overview on some WE knives. As many of you know, I'm working with KME now. I do their tech support. I was a big fan for 5 or 6 years before I started working with the company. But anyway, I was very lucky to be able to go to Blade Show this year and help work at the KME booth, teaching people sharpening. And one of the companies I met while I was down there in Atlanta was WE Knives. And our good buddy Zelric, who has an awesome YouTube channel, I put a link down below in the description, was actually working at their booth. And he gets a lot of their early prototypes in and was able to send these over to me to check out. So I was really excited about that. This one, however, is mine. This is the one I actually picked up while at Blade Show. This is the 706. It's one of their budget line knives, believe it or not. This is G10 with D2 steel, liner lock, sculpted titanium clip, backspacer, hardware. Really awesome knife. Ceramic bearings and detent, just like all the WE knives. Great action. Anyway, watch for a full review on this one at some point, but again, this one is my 706. So this is just going to be an overview. I have carried each one of these for a day or two to check them out. I've also played with the spinners, and my kids have played with the spinners, but I'll just give you my thoughts on each one here. I'll start with this one. This is my absolute favorite of the bunch, and this one is the 707E. It's got the black titanium frame lock with black titanium other scale with a carbon fiber overlay, S35VN steel with the two-tone going on there. Now this one initially looked kind of funky to me, but my gosh, this one in the hand is unbelievable. I mean, that grip right there is just perfect. You can choke up in this one. It's actually got a decent enough choil for my big fat fingers, which don't always fit in most finger choils. So not only do they bring the edge up in front of the plunge grind, which is a beautiful trait of all WE knives. And you know, one of the things about WE knives, one of the top three, I would say, China manufacturers, we have companies like Riot, WE Knives, Reich Knife, Custom Knife Factory. I mean, they've got some incredible work coming out of there for the money, for any money really. And they listen to the customers is the big difference. They listen to the knife community. People complain about this or that, and they actually listen. And doing, you know, a pass round or a similar style thing like this with sending knives out for people to look at and critique is taking a risk for them, but they truly want to know the complaints. You know, the majority of these fit most of those knife gripes that people look at as far as knife nuts go. I'll get to this one next, and this would be the one that I do have a couple gripes about. And then I will tell you at the end what I would love to see WE Knife do. But with this one, this is the 616E black satin blade M390. It has that sort of zero grind Tonto at the front. No secondary bevel on it. Would not be the most fun to sharpen, but boy does it look good. See the scales here, titanium sculpted nicely. Nice backspacer, sculpted clip. All their clips work really well. Some titanium sculpted clips don't work that well. These all work pretty well. Some of them are kind of tight in my 511 pants though, which has the big overlap over the top of the pocket. 4 pocket knives to keep the pocket from shredding. But anyway, you might notice the jimping here. Most of the jimping on these WE knives is the stuff that's on the blade is just about right. It's got enough grip to grab if you're really pressing down, but it's not sharp and going to tear you to shreds. These, on the other hand, are very sharp on this particular knife, and of course that's where you land when you're flipping. and so it's not the most comfortable, and it also happens to have the strongest detent of the bunch. Maybe a little bit too strong. I would say all the other detents are right on the money, but this one is pretty rough, and then you land right on these sort of sharp jimping. You can see them in my finger there, but yeah, I would just change that a little bit on this one. Some of you might notice the proprietary star screws that have been a little bit of a point with knife nuts, that they'd rather see something more user-friendly. Even though all these do come with the Torx tool or the star tool, I think they're going to possibly start going to Torx, and I would watch Zelrick's channel to see about that. He actually showed a prototype the other day that had Torx construction. I would agree with him that they should still go with the beauty that they put into these, as far as using titanium, anodizing them, and you know, building really nice, good-looking hardware, rather than just a plain old Torx out of the bin. So this one is another one of the budget line. This is the 703E Black G10 D2 blade, ceramic bearings and detent. This one has the stone wash over the black, or black wash as some call it, which I love. That'll hold scratch, or not show scratches very easily, and already has, you know, fine scratches all over it, so works out well. The action on all these is great. Centering is great on all of them. A couple of them are just a touch off to the right. Not my knives, so I didn't want to take them apart and play with them, but I'm sure you could either just adjust the pivot or actually go ahead and take them apart and see what you could come up with. But great detents. That ceramic will never wear out on you or go flat like steel can. This one I really like as well. It's very ergonomic. I kind of like a bigger knife. These are mostly the budget line knives that they have are pretty large, 4-inch blades, roughly, you know, 8.5, 9 inches overall, most of them, and they're pretty heavy. The G10 is nicely contoured and really well done, but it is pretty thick and heavy. You have a steel liner on one side, nothing on the other. Most of their titanium knives, they do a lot of the mill work on the inside to get rid of some of the weight. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see in this one or not, but they could probably do that on maybe the G10 models, or just make a little bit smaller version of some of those. I think that would go well. So this is another one I really like. This one is great. This is the 705D. It's got the bronze titanium handle. They call this a hand-rubbed satin blade. This one is M390. I'm going to try to get you in close here. If it's hand-rubbed satin, it's not like any I've ever seen. Now, I've seen them on their Instagram taking individual knives and just, you know, you can see guys sanding on them and working on them and doing hand-finished, hand-rubbed satin. This looks more like a Media Blast to me, and I'm wondering if the box isn't just wrong. You can't see any vertical lines whatsoever, but the finish is insane on this one. I love it. It's not dull like a Bead Blast. It's got more of a, you know, shiny rainbowy look to the steel, where I think it might be a ceramic Media Blast, leaving that beautiful finish. You can see the millwork inside the fullers. Just beautiful. Really cool sculpted handles. Again, great action on this one. Very smooth. None of these are really broken in. I think most of them will probably drop free eventually. Possibly even a shot of lube would get them to where they would just drop free. But this one is just beautiful. Alright, so I'll briefly show these spinners. My kids thought they were just great. This one is really, really small. It's hard to get an idea of it, seeing it on video and in pictures, but you know, you can see it's like very, very small. It does spin well, but it's not like, you know, oh, I'm going to sit here and spin this one for minutes. It's got very smooth bearings. Not a lot of up and down wiggle or play. And then this one is very, very cool. Both kids really dug this one. It's got the ceramic ball bearings seated in those arms on the outside there. And this one has a great action. It's a little bit bigger. You're able to spin it a little easier. And has really good run times. Almost no wobble. Really solid. They sell these in a lot of different variations as far as anodizing, because they are titanium. Spin the middle. Pretty cool. Very, very nice. So, I mean, overall, I mean, you know, if you're into knife videos at all, if you're watching this, you probably already know WE Knives is doing a great job. Like I said, probably one of the top 3 or 4 China manufacturers. Doing an outstanding job. I hope Benchmade and Zero Tolerance and Spyderco pay attention. You know, there are knives coming out of China right now that are just kicking ass, and people should take note. You know, this one, for example, the one I purchased, this was $100. All right. You compare that to, you know, some American knives, and you're just not going to find ceramic bearings and D10. You won't get ceramic bearings and D10 on any Zero Tolerance, for example, no matter what the price. They're all steel, and steel is just nowhere near as smooth as ceramic. The ceramic D10 itself is never going to wear out or flatten out. It's harder than steel, so it's going to, you know, create a nice smooth track and always be the same. It's never going to rust. I mean, there's just a lot of advantages to that. But let's compare this, say, real quick to like an Emerson. You know, a couple $100 for any decent Emerson. It's going to have G10 scales, liner lock. It's not going to have titanium hardware. It's not going to be anodized and stonewashed. It's not going to have a sculpted clip, which, you know, some people don't even dig the sculpted clips. I really do, if they work well, which these do. It's got this incredible flipping action. This one is a little bit more broken in than some of these others, so it's really well done. It's, you know, really nicely ground on all of these. This one has the stonewash, but really even bevels and grind work. Makes it easy and fun to resharpen instead of a headache as so many other knives. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Definitely a good company, good knives. I'll probably end up trying to pick this one up. I think this one's outstanding and really nicely ground. Not sure if I'm going to be able to catch this, but if you can see how thin that stays behind the edge, it's almost like my Spydie Chef. I mean, to this point up on the blade, we can see in that steel there up to here. So this far behind the edge, it's staying nice and thin all the way up the blade. Very thinly ground. Really good slicer. Would love to use this one a lot, and would love to sharpen this one. Would be fun as well. There's putting a nice polish on that bad boy. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys. Go check out Zelric, and definitely check out WE Knives. Their Instagram's pretty awesome, and can't wait to see what's coming next. They really put a lot of different knives out in a pretty quick fashion. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.